All right, so now that we've gotten started, I want to go into these functions, kind of what's going on a little bit more in depth. As I mentioned last time, whatever's contained inside of the children tag here, wrapped in these curly brackets, is going to be what is contained in the body of your HTML. And once we are done with our layout.tsx cleaning it up, we don't really mess with it anymore, but we can see that the children are actually passed in as a parameter of this function. So it's a little hard to read this way, but yeah, the children are passed in, and then this is TypeScript. This is just typing the children as a React node, and all these things are just React nodes. Not super important to understand completely now, but that's the basic idea. Is whatever this children is going to be inside the body tag, and when we only have a single web page and it's the main home page, it's going to be whatever's returned in page.tsx. Now, what's returning here? Well, we have a function called home. We have export default, which essentially we have to export functions in order to be able to use them in other functions, and default means that this is the default function that's being exported by this page.tsx. And what we're returning is essentially HTML. You can see we're returning HTML. Right now it's not wrapped in anything. It was originally wrapped like this with parentheses, which is how we do want to do it if we start adding more stuff. But if we can fit it on the single line, we don't have to wrap it. And I have this extension called Prettier for VS Code that makes it so if I save this, it just removes it because it goes, those are not necessary. But you'll probably want to keep those on. And as you see, we'll add more stuff, and it will add more stuff on. But we can put, any components we want, like an H1, which is a header component, save, go back to our website, and now we have H1. H2, will be a little smaller, header 2, smaller version of it. We can do paragraph, we can do anything we want. We can use divs. Any HTML that we create, we can just put here. So what's the point of this? I mean, I could just do this with a .html, right? Well, if I want to have dynamic elements, something that could change, normally I'd have to use JavaScript. And if I were using JavaScript, I'd have to try to access this element, and then, inside the element, change the inner HTML to that. However, with React, I can do it all here. So let's say I have a variable, name. Now, what you'll notice here is it's got a red squiggly line. Well, name is deprecated. It doesn't want me to use name, but it says cannot assign to name because it's constant name any. So it's this weird thing where this is TypeScript. Normally in JavaScript, you'd be able to just have, let me change this because name is kind of a dubious. Let's call it my name. This will be, yeah, there we go. Cannot find my name. So normally in JavaScript, you can just do this. You can just create a variable. You don't have to put anything in front of it. But with TypeScript, we have to either put, and actually I think React requires it as well. We have to either put let or const. If this is going to be a constant value that I'm not changing down the road, like reassigning, like that, then I can leave it as constant. But if I am reassigning it, see, it's going to say cannot assign to my name because it's a constant. Then I would have to use let. So generally we're going to use const most of the time because there are other ways that React handles changing variables because of how it renders, stuff we can get into later. But let's say my name, Dan. And what if I want to use this variable inside of this H2? Well, I could just type hello Dan or hello Dan. But that's not dynamic. It's not going to change, as I, change this or do whatever with this. So what I can do instead is I can put my name here, but this still isn't going to do anything. It's just going to put my name as a string. So how do we know that this should be the variable rather than just my name? Well, that's where the curly brackets come in. This is called JSX. It's a way of putting our JavaScript variables into our HTML. Now that I wrap it in curly brackets, you can see that VS Code recognizes that that's that variable now. When I save, it says hello Dan. And if I change this now, there we go. So I'm essentially able to insert variables in here this way. I can also put code in. I can have code. So let's say const my div equals, and we'll say div, this is some stuff. Let me move this out of the way. So now I have another variable that's my div, and I can do this, my div. Same thing, wrap it in curly brackets, and now this is some stuff. I'm able to just put HTML code directly in here like this, which is pretty cool, I think. It just makes this process way cleaner. If you've worked with JavaScript, you know this is very tedious in JavaScript. You have to put an ID on this, and then access the element by the ID, and then all this other stuff, and it makes the process much, much harder. However, with React, we're able to do it in a much cleaner way, which is pretty cool. We can also return functions. So let's say I want to have a list. So I'm going to make a function, and I'll say my list, and I just want to return a list of things. So the way lists look is we're going to return UL is an unordered list, so this will be separated. These will be like bullet points, and I'll say LI, which is a list item, apples, LI bananas, LI chocolate, things like that. Okay. And then all I have to do, if I do this, it's not actually going to work. If I just do my list, it's not going to work because I have to call the function in order to get what's returned by it. And in order to call the function, I just add these parentheses here. Just like that, apples, banana, chocolate. And if I want to pass a parameter in here, I can pass a parameter in. So let's say I want to have a, what could I do here? Let's say we want to add a fourth item. So we'll say like fourth item, and this is where TypeScript comes in. We're going to type it as a string, and we're going to say the fourth item, whatever I put in as the fourth item is going to go here. So I'll say li, and then I'll do my same JSX, fourth item. Now, whatever I pass into this function is going to end up the fourth item in the list. And now you'll see here it says, hey, we're expecting an argument. You need to pass something in as the fourth item, otherwise it's not going to work. This is required. So I'm just going to type in dairy. I'm trying to think of something that starts with a D. Okay, so dairy. And now I get apples, bananas, chocolate, and dairy. So essentially I can insert things into my HTML code with JSX. Now, what if I wanted to put something below here, below main, like another div? Hey, it doesn't like this. And the reason it doesn't like this is it's saying that unexpected token main. Yeah, the reason it's having problems here, it's not actually giving you a very good syntax error here. It's not telling you exactly what's going on, but the entirety of what's returned needs to be contained within a single HTML element. That means that right now I have main, and I have div, and these are both at the top level. They're not inside of anything else. So the problem is that they need to be inside of something, or I need one of these to be the outermost thing. So if I were to take another div and wrap everything inside of it, take all this and paste inside of it, now it's fine. Now it doesn't care because it's saying, okay, everything's wrapped in a single HTML component. So this is a React requirement. Any JSX, any of this HTML stuff that's returned needs to be contained within a single parent element. It doesn't matter how many children are inside of there, but the parent elements needs to be a single thing. So Let me go ahead and take that stuff off. That's unnecessary for what we're doing. So this is some basic stuff we can do with HTML, and pretty cool stuff for getting started, I think. And yeah, I think that'll be enough for this video. I'm going to go ahead and build off of this in the next one.